Hey, it's Maya here, and I'd like to chat with you about how I plan my week. So, I have a weekly planning routine where I take all of my tasks on my to do list for the week and I put them inside of Google Calendar. And this just helps me not only see what I need to get done, but also know when I'm going to complete certain tasks. And I actually got the idea to actually schedule out my tasks in Google Calendar from Elizabeth McCravey. She talked about it on an episode of her podcast. So I'll put a link to that podcast episode in the description for this video if you're interested in listening. But I'm about to plan my next week, so I thought now would be a good time to show you what I do. My project management system is ClickUp, so rather than using a traditional paper planner, what I do is I have all of my tasks organized inside of ClickUp, and then I reference those tasks in ClickUp as kind of my to-do list, and then from there I take what I need to do and schedule it in Google Calendar. I actually have two businesses. The first is Maya Palmer Designs, which is my website design business, and then the second is Sage and Maya, where I create custom pet illustrations. So I dedicate specific days each week to working on each business and then decide which tasks for each business I'll do on certain days. So I'll show you all of that more in depth in just a second. But if you like this video, I share all sorts of design, business, and marketing videos for service-based entrepreneurs on this channel. So if that sounds like you, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell button to be notified when I post a new video. Okay, so I have my computer up now, and I apologize if the lighting and the camera angle is a little bit wonky. It's kind of cloudy outside right now, so I had to turn on an extra light. And then I had to move my camera away from the light because it was blinding me when I tried to look at the camera. But I have my computer up now, and the first thing that I recommend as you plan your week is that you choose specific days for specific tasks. And like I mentioned earlier, I have two businesses, so I know for myself all these days in pink are for Maya Palmer Designs. So on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, I focus on things for Maya Palmer Designs, and then on Tuesdays and Thursdays here in green, I focus on things for Sage and Maya, and some things for my business overall, what I like to call housekeeping tasks. They're here in yellow for Fridays or for every day. And then once I know which days are dedicated to which business, I then went down and said, okay, on Mondays for Maya Palmer Designs, I want to focus on YouTube editing, creating my Instagram content, and writing email content, and then also doing any website updates that I need to for my own website. And then on Tuesdays, I'll do custom orders and Instagram, email, and blog for Sage and Maya, as well as any outreach and marketing planning that I need to do, and so on. I've just gone through each day and assigned what tasks I'll be focusing on. I know that I've broken mine down a lot because I'm thinking about two separate businesses, but if you only have one business, the idea would be similar for you. For example, maybe you'll say on Fridays I'll do my bookkeeping, and then maybe on Mondays and Wednesdays you want to do content creation. If you do one-on-one work, on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays you'll focus on your client work. But just find a flow that works for you, and don't be afraid to experiment with this and change things around just until you find what's comfortable. Right now my business looks a lot different than it usually does. I usually would have client work to do, so like designing websites and brand design for clients, and so it used to be that on Mondays and Wednesdays I was working on client work. However, in this season of my business, I'm focusing more on my Show It template shop, which is a lot different than custom web design services, because the way that the templates work is that someone buys the template and they get access to my course that helps them customize it, and then I'm here for support if they need me, but it's not the same as me working one-on-one with a client where I need to make sure that I'm hitting project milestones, and I have my calendar booked out with clients. It's not the same. So I usually don't change up my daily themes from week to week. I'll pick some, and that will be the structure that I use for the quarter, and then as things change in my business, if I need to change them the next quarter, I will. And then once I know my daily themes, the next thing that I do is I'll go into ClickUp and see what tasks are coming up for the week. So if you use a different app like maybe Trello or Asana, you could go check and see what tasks you have coming up. Or even if you write them down in your paper planner, this method will still work. See, today the only thing I have to do is to film this video because it's a Sunday, and I knew that I like to plan my weeks on a Sunday, so I happen to be filming this video. But if I click to see what's up next, I can see everything that I have to do for the week. I love having a to-do list. I love having a project management system where I can organize all my tasks for what I'm working on, but I found that I can be one of those people who tries to pile a million things on my to-do list for one day, but then it's not realistic for me to actually get all of those things done in a day. So what really helps me is to then take things a step further by taking these tasks into a calendar and scheduling out when I'll actually do everything, and keeping in mind how long it will actually take me to complete certain tasks. So I like to do this in Google Calendar because of how I can color code and move things around easily. We could also do this on your iPhone calendar or on a paper calendar if you prefer, but let me go ahead and show you how I schedule out my tasks. So now I have Google Calendar open, and you'll see that it's completely blank for this week. Sometimes I do start out with some tasks already in there, depending on if I've moved something over that didn't get done the last week, or maybe if I have some meetings that have already been put into the calendar. So I'm going to be focusing on one day at a time, so I'll start with Monday. I've got some content creation that I need to work on, so let me just go into ClickUp and see what's due for Monday. And one other thing, I always like to check my inbox in the morning and in the evening, and having dedicated times for that just helps me not be constantly looking at my inbox, but also helps me not to forget to check back in and see if there's anything I need to follow up with before I stop working for the day. So I'll go ahead and add in my inbox time. And here I'm just guessing how long it will take me to edit the YouTube video. I've already edited about half of it, so I'm guessing that I need about 2 to 3 hours more to work on it, but can adjust as needed if I found that it takes me more or less time. And also don't forget to include breaks. So you'll see I put my lunch break here, and I spaced out all of my tasks with gaps in between so that everything isn't back to back. And I changed my mind and decided that I like to work on Instagram content, email content in the morning, and then I'll edit in the afternoon. I just feel like my brain is more inspired to focus on the type of content creation that Instagram requires earlier in the morning. So I'm just trying to think about what I prefer and move things around until it feels right. But again, if you've never planned your week before, it will take some time to figure out what works for you and what you're comfortable with. So don't be afraid to adjust as you go. And so now I've got Monday planned, and I'm gonna go ahead and plan the rest of my week. So I'll just speed through this process and then talk with you about my finished calendar. Okay, so now as you can see, I have my week all planned out. And again, this isn't a typical week for me. I'm still trying to figure out how I want things to go as I'm coming back from the holidays, but usually so that everything isn't all the same color and I can easily tell what tasks I'm doing when, I'll color code. If it's housekeeping, I usually turn things yellow, and to do this in Google Calendar, if you're also using Google Calendar, I just right click and then choose a color. So I'm gonna go ahead and make all my housekeeping tasks and breaks be yellow, and I'll make all my part-time work be in blue. And then since on my time blocking sheet everything for MPD was in pink and then all my Sage and My stuff was in green, I'm going to color code those different tasks for the two different businesses as well. Okay, and now I have my calendar color coded so you can see it's a little bit easier to tell what business I'm focusing on each day, and then also to see my breaks and things like that. And I usually try to stop working around 5 or close to that if I can. And again, I'm just estimating how long all of these things are going to take me. Some things might take me longer than I anticipated, and other things might take me less time. And you see on Thursday I'm stopping work a little earlier than the other days because I didn't have as much to do. But I just try to be flexible, and especially if I end up loading too much into one day, let's say on Monday it takes me longer to edit this YouTube video than I anticipated, I can always move something else to Tuesday or Wednesday if I need to. But just play around with planning out your schedule and be willing to be flexible and move things around if you need to, and just find what works for you. Alright, so there you have it. That's how I plan my week. It's nothing fancy. Basically all I did was choose specific themes of tasks to dedicate to each day, and then go into my to-do list and see what was specifically going on. Then I went into my calendar and scheduled out times to do all of those tasks according to my themes. Usually I would take into account any meetings that I have at that point as well, because that will affect how much time I have to get things done. But again, this wasn't a typical week for me and I didn't have any meetings scheduled. But I hope this was helpful to you. I found that it's helpful to me to take things a step further, and instead of just having a to-do list, actually know, or at least have an estimate of how long it'll take me to do certain tasks, and to make sure that I'm not planning too much into each day. But if you have any questions about my weekly planning process, feel free to leave those in the comments below. And thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.